I'm gonna pound it like. Here we go. We're gonna get going. Sit down, Phil. Yeah. Welcome to the regular Tuesday, June 24th council meeting. Welcome all. May we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Acosta Jr. Absent. Councilmember Fernez.
Here.
Councilmember Villegas.
Here.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Here.
And Mayor Julian.
Here. We have a quorum. Will you please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Again, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. Next item is item 3 is a moment of thanks, appreciations, or condolences. There's one lady, Rosa Gonzalez, that's from Guadalupe that passed away May 10th. So condolences to her and her family. Anybody else?
I would just like to give a moment of silence to Cassia Lynn, one of our youngest Guadalupe residents who unfortunately passed away. And so I just want to give my condolences to the Rodriguez family. Give a moment of silence to Cassia Lynn.
Okay. Thank you. Next item is agenda review. Is there a council member that wishes to change the order of business as noted? We good? Ladies? Okay. The next item is community participation, and we have one individual that wishes to speak, Mr. Deke Segovia.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Mayor, City Council. My name is Deke Segovia. I'm here representing Chapter 982, the Vietnam Veterans of America. And I just want to kind of remind people that in 2012, the parking lot, the gazebo parking lot, as a lot of people used to call it, had a name. The city had a contest to name that parking lot. Well, the name that ended up with was Veterans Memorial Plaza. And that was in 2012. So since then, we've been kind of working on a sign. We wanted a sign to put there. So I brought this sign, which, by the way, I've already contacted Bill Scott. We've gone through the process. He has approved it as a usable sign. And we will probably put it on 4x4 posts. But I'm kind of looking for somebody who works in wood, because I have another idea about mounting this. So somewhere around, we're going to find somebody who works on wood, and then we'll continue the process. But
yeah. Wow.
So this is a 4x2 sign that we will put up, and it will be on the south side of the parking lot, there on the same side where the chargers are. There's an empty spot there. So we're going to put this sign up there if it's approved by the council. Yeah, anyway, this is it. And I don't know if the city has any kind of discretionary money that they might go halfers with us or something, but if it's not, we'll do it all. But it was only $372. But I will talk to I was going to say district attorney, excuse me, that's tomorrow.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, I will talk to the city administrator, Todd,
okay.
and we'll go over, because there's a form that had to be signed by somebody from the city, but my computer went down, so I couldn't get it. So I hope that this would be acceptable by the city, and we will put it up. The 884, of course, is the address.
Can you explain where that's gonna be again? You said near the,
It's gonna be on the
where the charges
south
are.
side, yeah, but just behind the sidewalk. And there's
Okay.
that dirt area there.
Right, okay,
Yeah, that's where it's gonna be put.
okay, and facing, of course, the road. the
Yeah, yeah,
highway
oh,
road,
yeah, it'll be facing the highway.
Okay,
It just, hardly any, well, really, nobody knows the name and really nobody knows the address of that parking lot. But this came from the city planners department, so we got that. So I just wanted to present that. Thank you, chief.
so, okay, I don't know about decision making, but I guess the consensus in terms of our approval, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, you're not the mayor, Mr. Attorney.
Well, we don't need a consensus. We just need an approval whenever it's appropriate. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it can be approved administratively, obviously it can be, but I'm sure it'd be a quick consent agenda item if that's what's required.
That's.
Yeah,
to-
and
to
like I
me,
say, I
let's
did
move
check
forward
with,
it,
I
so,
went through the
yeah.
process with
Yeah.
Bill Scott and stuff to make sure that the sign was gonna be okay and all that, so he approved it. But I did want to say one other thing. It is about Missing in America project. And I don't know if you're aware of that project, but it's something that we've been working on, the Vietnam Veterans of America. And that's what we go to the mortuaries to see if there are any cremains left there of veterans. And we've been doing this for some years, but we finally found a veteran in Grover Beach that has been there for years on the shelf. So we made arrangements through this Missing America project. We made arrangements for his interment to be in Bakersfield at the National Cemetery.
Right.
But I just wanted everybody to kind of know that, so that if you go somewhere, you hear about it or something like that, know that we can take care of those veterans, and we're honored to do that. So, any questions?
Thanks for that,
Oh,
appreciate
thank you.
that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, any other requests to speak? I don't see a form. We'll go to item number 6, consent calendar. The items are following items presented for the city council approval without discussion as a single agenda item. Is there a council member that wishes to pull an item? Good. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar as written?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar as it's written.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All ayes. Thank you. Moving right along, next item is management reports. Item 7, city administrator.
Thank
Administrator.
Thank you,
report.
Mayor, Council, staff and public at large. And you, on the consent calendar approved one of the new members of the GCAC. His name is Robert Diaz, and Deborah Sykes is the other one. She's not here, but Robert's here, and I wanted to introduce you to
Robert.
him if you want to stay up and say something maybe, or.
Yes, please.
He's a resident of the city.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I live here. It works. It's
All right,
awesome.
good.
Yeah. So my name is Robert Diaz. I'm a resident here. I've been here for about 4 years or so. I live over in the Pasadena neighborhood. I'm originally actually from up north in Sonoma County. And so I currently work for the County of SLO. I'm a program manager over there for social services. Got experience doing nonprofits, program, a little bit of everything, grant writing and stuff. So I'm hoping to bring that locally and be able to do something for my home for once rather than just for other places.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's it.
Well, welcome and thanks for stepping up. So,
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
So, being that Robert's a resident, I was wondering if you could fill out a survey in the back there for climate action plan, which we had last week and ran it. And Dr. Noso did a really good job, very thorough, and went over. We had about 6 or 7 people here. We had a Spanish translation, and it went really well. And there's a bunch of surveys that it make for a robust process if the more surveys we receive. So. Also, July 11th at 10 o'clock, Escalante Meadows ribbon cutting, that'll take place there. So if you're interested, reply and RSVP. Last week, I went to on June 13th, the Santa Barbara County Leadership Forum. My first one, I admit, I need to go to more of them. So I will go to every one, and it was great. So I'm going to continue to do that. Other than that, I know we met Chief will probably talk about it and the committee for school. The new school is something we can talk about at some point about that. We're planning to provide safety and for pedestrians and buses and cars and all that. So I'll leave it at that, and that ends my report.
Any questions of Todd?
I do have a quick question. I know you mentioned the workshop for the climate action plan that we had 6 individuals. I know sometimes our audience engagement is a little low. Does the city have a current like outreach plan? What is our current outreach to reach out to residents when we do have an event?
I mean, in this particular case, Dr. Norrisel really worked hard on reaching out the way he could, but I didn't work on that outreach myself. It just depends on the situation and the event that takes place.
Okay, because you did it on the behalf of the
Yeah,
city.
yeah.
I just think it would be important that there is a current outreach plan, just because Dr. Noroso might not be well known in the, he might not know everybody, but it would just be nice to have like a current outreach on how we reach out to our current community, just because these are really important topics. I think you mentioned state of the city. So making sure that we can really reach out to our residents when needed is really important.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, next item, Director of Public Safety, Chief Cash.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council, staff, and our community. You have the reports from the police department, fire department, code compliance. I have nothing really to add to that at this time, unless there's any questions of me.
I had one regarding the code compliance and then and graffiti. I know that just lately, there's been some hits. And I noticed that in month of May, there was no reports on graffiti abatement anyway. Have we heard anything about the ongoing graffiti now? There's been an uptick in graffiti.
Right now, there's only 2 locations. One, we're working with Maine and Pioneer,
Right.
the fence.
fence, yeah.
We've talked with the resident, and that's gang related. It's kind of going back and forth. We're dealing with that one. And there was a piece of graffiti, Paco Park at the basketball court, which we have on film. So we're working
Okay,
that one right
okay.
now.
You know that Eddie mentioned, Eddie at Public Works, or Parks and Rec was talking about, was it WP, West Park? Aren't they in Santa Maria?
Yes.
We need, Bonita Road, we need to put a sign, do your graffiti on the other side.
So are you advocating for a wall?
No. No.
Yeah, it's
Nobody
one of
better
those
advocate
things.
for wall here.
Yes, it's the young people, and from everything that we're seeing, it's young Gloucesters, because we have no high school here, so this interacting high school over there, and it comes after school to where they're putting up and dissing each other.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate, but I'd rather have graffiti than bullets dissing each other. So it's something that we can work on. But if you've seen that fence, it's outdated, and to paint that is going to be really kind of problematic. And
Mhm.
she states, she doesn't have money. And we just got through, I think Deke's still here, clearing out that paint. And I'd like to thank our public works director clearing out all this extra paint that we have around. So maybe it's one of our managers meetings. We need to kind of get together with Park and Rec and everybody else to see, are there other options? Because sometimes our community members cannot afford to really kind of paint that whole aspect of their fence. But one thing I know that we brought about, and we've spoken on the beautification projects
Right.
that we're trying to do throughout the entire city. So I'd like for us to really kind of think more about that, and to maybe really start having a plan, because right now it's just a concept, but no one's put anything really on the table of where we're going and how it's going to work.
I think there's gonna be some energy behind that, so. Right. Thanks. Any questions of Chief?
I had a quick question. I know that I I emailed you in regards to, I had like about a dozen community members reaching out because there was an incident. And I know that you shared case, there was no report. And then the next day, you mentioned that there was more information. When our firefighters are dispatched to a different county, does that mean that there is no report to you?
No, I think when we talk about a report, the report is, when our fire department gets dispatched, it automatically goes to my phone. So I know where they're going. But when they're going to another county, the new system is the closest fire department will respond to whatever's going on. So that's why we went to SLO, i.e. mutual aid. And the only time we have a report is if there's something specific to that incident. They did a report, but because of the HIPAA laws, that report is confidential. And so there is a report, but it's not open to the public because it's medical and related. Now, if there's something not medical, i.e. a fire or something like that, that's something that we have to follow up on, then I'll have that report. So there is a report of the incident, but it's just not something that is open to the public.
I just think that day I was confused because you shared that there was no incident. You checked your database. I was like, how do you even get that information? Because that's important information. I know there's things that you can share with me, which is totally fine. You just let me know. But I think that did worry me a bit just when you shared there was no information. Does that mean you get a report a day after?
No, the way it happens, if take a minute, is if they went to a call right now, it will show up on my phone that they went to a call. Other than that, unless they need me for something, it's just another regular call. I don't really pay attention to it as far as if there's a need. So you called me and I looked on my phone and go, yeah, they went someplace, but other than that, there was nothing that would bring my attention to it. And then you gave me other follow-up information. So that's when I called the captain and go, okay, what was this call about? And go, this is what it was all about. There was no need to call you. And that's when I explained to you all the details of it.
Got it. Perfect. Just trying to understand how everything works.
No,
Perfect.
that's good.
Awesome.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have two items, Chief, that I'd like to quiz you about. One is I know that you've been meeting with, or someone's been meeting with Santa Maria Dispatch.
Yes, sir.
So can you give a 2-minute update on that?
Quickie on that. We got paperwork back from the county sheriffs as far as what their proposal was. And we went to Santa Maria and we met the chief and his staff, and they gave us their proposal. And I was really blessed to have Norma and Lieutenant Lamone. They are great negotiators. So we started out at $354,000. They wanted all their money.
So the Santa Maria wanted or the county wanted? County wanted a ton of money.
Santa Maria.
Okay.
And we talked, and they said their city manager, they got to talk with their city manager, and says they would they'll go all the way down to 200,000. So that's where we're going to be at, but that's just for that first year. And then we'll have to go increments because the contract we initially signed was they were just trying to get their program going. So we got a lot of deductions because we were their only client. And so that's how that worked. And I think I put in our report where they mentioned our city attorney. So they asked, is he going to be part of this? I go, yes. I go, okay. So they wanted to make sure.
Good or bad?
Oh, that was really good on our part. They're going like, okay, make sure we cross the T's and dot the I's because they go, is Phil still there with you? I go, yeah. Okay, make sure we do this and this. So that relationship really paid off. So we have a better deal there. So we're trying to work through the details right now before we can bring something. So we already have all the infrastructure and everything to make this work.
And to his point, the county doesn't offer the same kind of components and elements that's required. So they've been approached by the chief.
Yes.
Now, when does it start?
Well, we're it's one of those things, we're never going to turn it off because we're already working with them. So everyone understands we got to go through the paperwork. So I'm waiting for them to give us an actual contract. We had to just kind of work out the verbal details of it. And so now they have to go back and write it up. And then as soon as we get that, then I'll send it to our city attorney to kind of go through. And then once we get the approval from there, then it's my staff report and we'll get it to council as soon as possible.
How would this impact the budget
That's.
of this coming budget?
So there's only 70,000 that is allocated to this contract because we didn't have,
Didn't have the
Yeah,
information?
Yeah,
the
the information
information,
came after.
and we just got it
Yeah.
like Friday. So
Okay.
there is 100,000 that will need to come from somewhere.
I just want to clarify, we're talking about Santa Maria doing our dispatch, right? But they are currently, is that right?
They are, and we've been paying around 70,000. So that's why that was.
Oh, so it
budget.
went up.
It went up.
We had a 5-year contract and they gave us really low ball incentives to go with their program. And now they have a new administrator or new manager and everything else. So now they want full cost recovery. Before they were not getting that. And that's where this is where we're at.
Have we ever considered just bringing it back in-house? No, okay. I'm just thinking with that, because you said 70 versus 200. I
Yeah.
mean, that's 130K,
It's
you know?
130,000 that we need to
We
find
don't have
out
the
where it's gonna go.
No, we don't have the infrastructure. Okay, okay.
What I'm thinking we could do, well, maybe wait to the budget discussion is to, look through the budget and if you're okay with it, we could do. Staff could work on it, do mid-year corrections or adjustments or work with the council and come back. That's my initial thought on that.
Okay.
We could.
And see how the
overtime.
revenues are, a few months down the road and expenditures.
All right. The second thing, Chief, thank you for that update. The second thing is the school. You mentioned we met with the school district regarding their opening what, August,
Mid-August, I believe it was.
the 15th or so?
Yes.
August 12th or something.
August
Yeah.
12th?
Yeah.
They're opening the 7th and 8th. And the big concern was the traffic going in and out of Pasadena, the kids going across Highway 166 from this side from the north side, crossing to the south side of Highway 166. And the concern is that there's gonna be a lot of traffic and there's a lot of foot traffic.
Mhm.
So, you want to update a little bit about that or?
Sure. Like I said before, our Public Works City Administrator, yourself, Mr. Mayor, the school officials, we all met because this is coming and it's not going to be delayed. The school is just about there. With that, there's going to be a huge transition. I think it's 7th and 8th graders that'll be coming from the Point Sal community. So they're going to be going east and they'll be crossing Guadalupe and
Obispo.
Obispo. There or
Well,
Guadalupe
Highway 1 I'm sorry, go ahead.
in
finish up,
Maine.
Chief. Yeah.
Yeah.
going across there, and then we're going to have additional young people coming from the Treasure Park area that'll be going south from Obispo in Maine. So that's going to be a huge. Those two intersections, we only have a flashing light at Obispo and Maine. So the things we talked about just for the pedestrian aspect was looking at putting some kind of flashing lights there. But as everyone knows, we don't own those intersections. That's Caltrans. So that's a challenge within itself. Then we talked about as getting them to school, and that's just walking. Now we got to worry about as the parents are taking them to school. We're lucky with 7 and 8. Most times it's just a slow drive and get out and go. That's not like the kindergartners. So we look at some kind of queuing method around the school to kind of get them there as far as driving in, and then hopefully maybe having a secondary location for the buses to come. The one thing that I didn't know going in, I think was a huge surprise, I shouldn't say, was a surprise to me at least, was it's not the little
The TK.
the learning center. Yes. That throws a real wrench in it because that's right next door. And so trying not to mix those two together in a drop off. So, I mean, we wrote down, my job was to write down a plan, not to look at it from can we afford it, unfortunately, but it's going to be a real challenge. But we have something at least on paper, but now we got to look at, we talked about grants, but we got to be realistic. Grants will not be here by the time that school opens. So this is really going to fall on us. So, I've been working with our people. I've been looking at other school districts, talking with other departments about how they handle those things. So I'm just trying to gather as much information and knowledge as we possibly can to see how we can minimize and at least try to keep our head above water until we get we get some kind of hold on this thing. But as far as I know, there's no funds. We definitely don't have the personnel, and to try to input some of the traffic measures. We're hoping maybe to work with our developer to see how much he can assist us in putting at least some traffic measures in that location.
And Caltrans.
So I know we
And
have a
Caltrans.
grant called Safe Routes to School. What does that cover? Do you know?
Safe routes to the school.
That would be more things more like bike lanes and
Sidewalks.
yeah.
Does the school have any plans for crossing guards for those intersections? Do we know? I know you're laughing at me, but.
No, only because we got to see some inside things, because we did discuss that about movement of some of the existing personnel, and some places we saw that maybe was not as active that we can move. But that's where we're really trying to work together. But that is a very good question, and hopefully they're going to step up and look to kind of do those things, because we're still going to have our traffic issues here at Mary Buren.
Mhm.
The delineators helped a lot. But maybe hopefully we can move something. As far as I know, there's no allocation of traffic control personnel that's been added because we only got one at McKenzie. So I'm not aware of.
Is it a possibility to put out a call for volunteers to the community while we get a handle on it? I mean, we could train them. We've talked about crossing guard. We all know it's going to be a problem for everyone. I don't even live in that neighborhood, but there's just we get creative as a community.
No, you're absolutely right. We've kind of done that before, and for anyone to be in the street, they have to be trained by the police department. But at least, yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm usually the crossing guard at Mary Buren. So I might have to just shift over to the new place. But there's the fire department right now. So that's a good one. It doesn't hurt to try. And maybe I'll ask the superintendent, can we maybe work on that? See if we can get with parents, and we would train them to at least stand on the corners to help get our kids across. It's better than nothing. Definitely. Thank you.
David, do you have any input in this, or?
I think for this situation, one thing we have to keep in mind is it would probably be unsafe to have crossing guards on Obispo and 166. I think most of that would be inside the community. And then it should be easier to narrow down and mitigate a lot of stuff within there.
If it's unsafe for a crosswalk or a cross individual, how would it be safe for our kids, I guess? That worries me a bit. Those two statements.
I'm not sure. Oh.
At that location specifically,
Yeah.
I think that would be police enforcement at that location, especially because you get like wintertime, so you're gonna have the high fog issues and stuff like that around there.
Yeah.
So just talking with people that I know that live in that subdivision.
It'll be more like
exiting
an
there.
increase in police.
Yeah,
Okay, got
or
it.
at least a police vehicle with the lights and
Right.
stuff like that. Maybe not even occupied, but at least for visibility's sake.
One of the
Yes.
things we talked about, that there's a crossing guard on 11th Street. And there's probably 3 people that cross. And so the school basically thought, I know that they wanted to pull that crossing guard out to Main and 166. And they were told, somebody complained about it, so no, we want that crossing guard there. But when you only have 3 or 4 people, and there's a stop sign there, so the four-way stop, which doesn't happen here. So we're gonna look at that, the school is gonna look at that, moving that person, at least that one person, either to Highway 1 and 166 or somewhere in that area.
The one thing that came up, and I do have to leave.
Yeah,
on
go
this
ahead,
call,
Chief.
Was he made a statement about how much he has to pay. Was it like 40,000?
Yeah.
Per? Or I don't know if it was the whole contract or 40,000 per crossing guard.
That's a
Um,
lot, yeah.
Yeah, and we were kind of looking like, wow, that's an awful lot for. Okay, yes,
Yeah,
you know.
It's
and-
part-time for staff, so it makes sense, and especially with the safety of our children.
Well, you know, because we looked at, okay, you know, maybe, because we had talked about if we took that contract, but I don't know what that really entails.
Mhm.
Because the bottom line is, we like the volunteers, but we need consistency.
Yeah.
Because when those young people are going to be there.
Yeah.
And I need to make sure someone is definitely going to be there for them.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Good luck with that one. And we just want to make sure that people know that we're not, that we're doing something about it, because it's gonna hit, in less, well, but in a month and a half, so.
I have a suggestion, if you guys had thought of like having a meeting place for the kids, and then they're bussed over across the street, and just do that until all the kids are at school. I don't know if that's an option or not, but
Yeah, that busing would be
I guess
a big
It's
ticket
a-
item, yeah.
yeah.
Meeting somewhere where all the cars aren't going in there. I mean, there's lots of options to think about, but it's coming up quick.
That's scary.
And the other thing with the learning center is that the parents can't drop them off. They have to park
Right.
and walk the kid to the school.
Yeah.
So that learning center is coming in, I think, at the end of the year. But anyway, we're working on it, so,
And then U-turns.
yeah.
I had a comment for Chief. I'll just mention it, and it'll hopefully be brought back. But an individual did share with me that they live in Pasadena, and if with the schools going on and there was an emergency and they couldn't leave, what was Chief's is if there's an alternate route but I'm not too sure. So I'll ask him that next time.
There's one way in.
There will
one way
be,
out.
there will be in
Yeah.
a year and a half, which is
Yeah.
Flower Street, but
Flower,
not,
yeah.
not right now. Unless they have 4-wheel drive and they go over the railroad tracks, so.
Well, I think other than the last road on Arroyo Seco, there is 2 egress routes. It's just one is not paved,
Got
but
it.
there
Yeah.
is entry and exit
Okay,
over
good
by the
point.
well.
Yeah.
If needed,
Yeah.
okay, perfect. That's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to know, and then work with the owner there to see if that's feasible until the road is actually created, so. Hopefully nothing happens there. All right, any more questions? It's gone, so. The next item, regular business, Caltrans utility agreement and landscape maintenance agreement. Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. The item that you have before you today, the staff report has 2 items, but I received notice from Caltrans that they want to pull the second resolution, 2025-36. They want to remove that. It is stuck in Sacramento for their attorneys to review that agreement.
Okay.
But the remaining item will be for a utility agreement with Caltrans. This utility agreement allows the city of Guadalupe to request reimbursement for moving some of the utilities associated with the new construction that's going to be happening on Guadalupe Street. So there's the alignment of the road is going to be shifting a little bit north of 12th Street. And so there's some water meters and a fire hydrant that have to be relocated. And also there's a few driveways that are being reconstructed, and they're to a new standard, which is requiring the water meters that are at those locations to be relocated.
Okay.
And we already have an agreement with Caltrans for a cover agreement, which allows them to adjust just up and down, but these have to actually be relocated. So Caltrans will not do that work. We have gone out and got some bids on the work. And so this agreement once signed, it'll allow us to request reimbursement for that,
And they'll pay for that.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
hopefully. So that's the item that you have before you. And the recommendation is to approve that resolution 2025-35 for the utility agreement.
Any questions of Jeff? Go ahead.
Jeff, you talked about bringing driveways up to par or whatever. I assume the residents don't have to pay for any of that. The city is, and then we'll get reimbursed.
This actually for the driveways themselves, Caltrans is doing all that work. But we have to adjust just the water meters
Mhm.
within, so, and the city will be paying for that and then hopefully being reimbursed by Caltrans for that work itself. But yeah, there are several driveways that are not ADA compliant. And this project is bringing all the sidewalks and everything up to current standards. So that requires the removal and replacement of a lot of the driveway approaches.
Is that, will Caltrans absorb that or will the landowners require it?
Yeah, that's my.
No,
que- that's my
Caltrans
question.
is doing it all.
Okay.
In fact, the Caltrans does have easements, construction easements
Right.
from
Yeah, they've been
each of those
talking about
property
this.
owners, but
Right.
in fact, the property owners that got money from Caltrans to give them those temporary easements.
Okay.
Quick question. Is there a reason that that Caltrans would not reimburse the city for these items?
Yes, if Caltrans believes that we do not have prior rights on the water. So we believe that the water lines were there before Caltrans took possession of Highway 1. Guadalupe Street was there and the water tower was constructed in, I think, 1929,
Yeah, right.
which was before the highway system went through. So
Okay.
so that's what we are saying, that we have the prior right for our water. And so otherwise Caltrans would not reimburse it. So it's kind of a crapshoot. It's not very much. It's about $15,000.
Okay.
It will come out of the water fund. If the city has to pony up for it.
Okay.
But right now, the staff from Caltrans appears that they're going to pay it. So
Okay. Any other questions? Is there a motion to adopt resolution 2025? I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor, we have to, oh, I'm sorry. No, there are two separate ones. My bad. My apology.
Okay. Is there a motion to adopt resolution 2025-35?
I make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-35.
I'll second.
There's a motion, a second. Any discussion? Could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Costa Junior is absent. Councilmember Fernez,
Hi.
Councilmember Villegas,
Aye.
Councilmember Hernandez, and Mayor Julian.
Aye, motion passed. Thank
And-
you.
And we'll bring that other resolution to you as soon as Caltrans
Okay, all right.
headquarters approves it.
Thank you. Jeff. All right. Item 10, fiscal year 2025-26 budget. Janice.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mayor, Council. It is recommended that the City Council review the correction identified in the June 10th meeting and adopt resolution number 2025-37, accepting the proposed final budget for fiscal year 25-26, along with the capital improvements project budget and capital facilities program and of projects budget. So not much to really report. The only change was that 25,000. I just, I took it out of the budget, rolled the difference into the fund balance. But there is something that we want to discuss as far as the Townsend. Public Works is looking to really cover the majority of that cost because they do use the majority of that contract. So, or that service. So we were looking to do like a 10% split, 90% for Public Works, 10% for the general fund, which would be about $6,000. And we could take 6,000 of that 25 and use that for the Townsend contract.
Okay.
If you're okay with that, then that was the only change.
Any questions? It's too easy. I mean, a lot of work that you put in before. So,
Thank you.
any questions of Janice?
Remember that was, the Townsend was 100% general fund before.
Right,
so.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Okay. Is there a motion to adopt resolution 2025-37?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-37.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion, a second, any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All ayes. Well, let me do backtrack. We need a roll call on that one, please.
Councilmember Costa Junior is absent. Councilmember Fernez,
Aye.
Councilmember Villegas,
Aye.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Aye.
Mayor Julian.
Aye, the resolution passes. Thank you, Janice.
Thank you.
Item 11, future agenda items. We good to go? Announcements, council activity reports. Christina, I know you have something.
What?
Do you have any?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You guys can start.
Okay.
We gotta go to, oh, no.
Mr. Mayor, I wanted to just point out that on the future agenda, my performance evaluation is set for the 8th, but Todd and I were just realizing that my contract's actually over on the 30th of this month. So,
So it's a
yeah,
good-
so.
We don't pay you for a couple of days.
Oh, no, it's not exactly right. But I assume that you don't want to terminate my services
No.
in pending at least until the performance evaluation. So I intend to stay on, but we'll bring that item as well.
Okay,
Um,
Or July 8th.
I'm not sure if we can do it on the 8th, but certainly in the month of July, just so you know.
okay.
Sorry about that.
No.
That was, I'm willing to stay if you're willing to have me, yes.
Okay. I mean,
Oh, I thought Christina was going to do it. What was it? I think it was June 13th. I went to the ribbon cutting for the railroad. And it was very well attended. It was really, actually, it was kind of neat. It was at the railroad yard. Christina was there and Judy was there as well. What was interesting to me was they went through the merger or purchase, whatever the appropriate term is. And but the thing that really caught me was the host did some preliminary introductions and things like that. And then he said, because we're here at the railroad, safety is important. So I thought he was going to talk about don't get on the train, or, watch the tracks, whatever. And he talked about if there's an emergency, here's what we do. If you have to call 911, that person over there will call. He knew CPR. He pointed out where we call that equipment, AED equipment was, and it took a minute to do that. And he said, and if there's an evacuation, and we were in a tent, and he said, everybody goes out that way. And I had never been in a meeting where the safety precautions were given. I thought that was pretty cool. I really did. And other people were talking about it too. It
Okay.
was really neat.
good.
So you just go out that door?
Yeah.
For that
I'm going out that one.
It's close.
The other thing is, what was, 13th. No, the railroad thing was another day. 13th was the Zoom meeting I was on for the house, what they call it, housing and homelessness, the bi-monthly meeting. And this time they did, someone gave a presentation on point in time counts. And this was to a period of time in January, one night where there were 400 volunteers and they went around the county, the different districts. And there are three categories of people. One was those that were unsheltered, completely unsheltered. The other was, I like the term they use, vehicular housed, sleeping in their cars.
Mhm.
And then the third was sheltered. And that wasn't permanent housing, that was just sheltered. So those are the three categories. And then they showed a slide that for 4 years, the increase or decrease in these categories. And I won't go through, I'll talk about 2022 versus 2025. I can't see.
Mhm.
There were 1,926 people that they talked to in 2022. 692 of those people were unsheltered. And again, that's 3 years ago. 675 were in their cars and 595 were sheltered. So look at 2025. There were 516 that were unsheltered versus 3 years ago, 692. And this was very interesting. Those that were in cars this year were 962 versus 675. So a significant increase in that. And that's the population that's really increasing, which I found very interesting. But on the positive side, in 2022, there were 595 that were sheltered, but in 2022, there were 595 sheltered, but this year the count was 958. So that was a positive. You had a negative on the car increase and then a positive on those that were sheltered. There was an individual from Goleta, whose name escapes me, but he said that there's a 55% increase in the car shelters. But the thing that was interesting to me was he said, those individuals, and this is a blanket generalization, those individuals don't consider themselves homeless, which was interesting. And he says that's a growing number. And because they perhaps don't consider themselves homeless, they're not asking for services. And he thought is because maybe most of them are employed. They just simply are unhoused. And he thought that, excuse me, rent increases in, he says the region, but actually in the whole county, may contribute to the increase in those who are being sheltered in their cars. A couple other quick stats. Lompoc, Guadalupe, San Ynez Valley, and Santa Maria have roughly 40% of the total county population and 29% of the total unhoused population. And then it was broken down by districts. And our district is 5, right?
Yes.
Okay. I was confused with the library zones. There's a whole population of 85,345 people in our district. And of those, for this point in time count, there were 134 that were sheltered, 40 in cars, and 107 that were unsheltered. So this is very interesting to see how the increase in those that are sheltered, but those that are sleeping in their cars, the easiest way to say it. And that unfortunately, there's a rise, a very significant rise from just 3 years ago. And they don't see any decrease in that. One other thing, it was announced of the ribbon cutting. The Housing Authority, Bob Havlicek, and John, name escapes me. John, there was a John, but he mentioned the same thing. Say it again. But yeah, that was one of the announcements, and he said a generous thank you to the City of Guadalupe for their participation, our participation. Yeah, that's it.
I was invited to judge at the Lompoc Flower Festival Queen event this last weekend. There were 4 judges. They invited me as council member from Guadalupe. They wanted some folks from outside of their community to judge the contest since it's such a tight-knit group of people that live in Lompoc. We coronated a new queen for 2025. Her name is Jomelisa Wilhelm. She's 19, and it was just really nice to spend some time in that community with other council members from Lompoc and see all their lovely young women. And there were 8 of them, and it was an all-day event, but their flower festival is this weekend, and their parade, you could see the girls in the parade on Saturday. That's it.
Awesome. I participated in the One Community Action Board meeting. I also went to the Santa Maria rally, No Kings, with my daughter. She had a great time, and we've seen a lot of residents from Guadalupe there. I also spoke at the Pride Festival this past weekend. Also participated in my COP radio interview, and it was in Mixteco and Spanish in regards to immigration. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Several things. One, we're gonna have a food bank July the 3rd. People were thinking, well, I'm not gonna have food bank, but that's at the senior center. They start serving at 11, but they're going to, because the next day is July 4th. So July 3rd is the actual food bank day. This coming Thursday, SBCAG and Area Pollution Control District is meeting here in Santa Maria. So I'll be attending that. And I also attended the meeting last Wednesday, I believe, that's regarding immigration issues. And at that meeting, I met the community outreach coordinator, Karen Ramos, for the city of Santa Maria. And she wants to get a hold of you. Recreation. Yeah. Yeah, she's very, so connect with her. I told them that we're making that connection with them, and she's ready to hear from you, so, okay. And that's all I had.
I also seen the Santa Maria EV buses going through Guadalupe,
cool.
and
Yeah.
that was super exciting to see. So thank you for that.
Is there a motion to adjourn to closed session?
I make a motion to adjourn to closed session.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All ayes. 2-minute break.